Hi everyone, welcome to Post to Post. If you're new, my name is Neil, and typically we talk hockey here on this channel. As you can tell from the background, there's lots of hockey jerseys behind me, and something that you longtime viewers may know is that I collect flags. I have an entire flag collection in my garage. I've actually made a video about it recently where I went through all the countries and stuff, and it was something that is a really cheap collection, but a really fun collection at the same time. And I love geography, I love traveling, and I really appreciate other cultures as well. So collecting flags is just it's a really fun thing to do. But today in this video, we're going to collect probably the most important flag in my collection. It's going to be the Ukraine flag. Okay, there's no surprise, you can see it in the thumbnail, and there's probably no surprise as to why I've decided to include this into my collection. So let's open it up first. And I typically don't talk about politics and world geopolitical events and all that stuff, but I felt like it was really important to, even though as small as my voice is, I still want my opinion out there because it's really important to me that it does get heard regardless if you disagree or agree with me. I have a personal stance on this entire thing, and I just want to share it with you guys a little bit. So we got the flag out here. We're going to hold it up. See if I can get it around me. Boom. So here we go. Ukraine flag. This is going to go in the background of this set. There's an empty spot right up there on the wall. I've been debating on what to put there, and I can't think of anything that would be better to go back there than this, Ukraine flag. It's not the highest quality. I tried to find a really high quality one, but they seem to be all sold out for probably obvious reasons. And so this was the only version I could find. It's a pretty cheap version. So you're going to see that in the background of all future videos until this conflict stops, basically. And that really leads me or segues me into my opinion on the entire thing, and that I am vastly behind Ukraine. I have no stake. I'm Canadian. I live in Canada. I have no personal stake in this conflict whatsoever. I know people from Russia. I know people from Ukraine. Actually, I only know one person from Ukraine, but I know more people from Russia. I've spoken to them. I've got their opinions. I'll share them a little bit in this video. But I have no personal stake in this. I just think it's morally wrong what Russia is doing, or specifically Putin. And I think it needs to be stopped. I don't think there's any reason for war, and any reason that I could justify war. This is definitely not it. You should not, in my personal opinion, you should not invade another country just because you want their land or you want their resources or you want to spread your ideologies on them or your religion or whatever it is. I don't really care. Ukraine is an independent country. They deserve to have their own culture, their own land, their own laws and rules and freedom. And that's not what's happening right now. Russia is illegally invading the Ukraine, and now we have an egregious war that has killed thousands of people, tens of thousands of people on both sides as I'm filming this. And I think it's completely unnecessary. I don't know if war is ever necessary, but this is the most unnecessary war I think I've ever obviously witnessed or ever heard of. And it's ironic how closely this mirrors the start of World War II. And I don't know what the future holds, but I am disappointed in our modern culture that we can't learn from our lessons, even if it's the lessons in the last decade or 20 years, let alone the lessons from 100 plus years of World War I leading into World War II. We find ourselves 100 years later or 80 years later in the same situation where we have dictatorship still raining havoc on neighboring countries and potentially more beyond that in the future. So I just don't understand it as a modern culture in a modern world, how we've not broken past that thought process. I just don't logically get it. So I want to talk a little bit about some conversations I've had with the Russian friends that I have. I haven't spoken to the person in Ukraine that I know. They have not responded to me. The people that I have spoke to in Russia, there are conflicting opinions, and the majority of opinions, or actually all of the opinions in this specific sense of what I'm about to say, they've all had this opinion. There should not be a war, and war is stupid. That's basically, that's very agreed upon. However, there's a lot of hatred from some Russian people, or at least the ones that I've spoken to, against the United States. A little bit towards Ukraine, not that much actually, but more so the United States. They think the United States is hypocritical, that they can go into countries and invade and do all this stuff and whatever, and then there's no repercussions to them when they do that. So they see the United States as a very hypocritical country, and the West in general. And I don't necessarily disagree with some of their opinions. Like, yeah, the United States invades not invades, but they enter countries to do specific things that they really don't have jurisdiction to kind of do. As a big picture, wrong. But they're not invading countries to steal their land or to whatever. There's oil. No, I'm not going to go into this big debate. But anyways, they're not doing what Russia is doing. They're not bombing cities and residential areas in the just hundreds and hundreds of bombs. Like it's not great what the United States has done in the past to some countries and within some countries, but it's not the same. Okay, and there's some Russian people that I've spoken to who are blaming the United States for this war because they're trying to create NATO relationships or strengthen relationships with the Ukraine, regardless if they join NATO or not, and neighboring countries, and increase the presence of NATO close to the Russian border. And that's not wrong. They are, but you can't blame the United States or any NATO country for doing that. You can't blame this war on them. The United States didn't force Russia to attack Ukraine. Like that doesn't logically make any sense. So completely disagree with that opinion, but there's a lot of distrust within the Russian economy and society for Western countries, and I don't want to get into it, but anyway, I understand some of their opinions, but I strongly disagree with some as well. But I completely agree with their stance on that there should be no war. So regardless of their opinions, whether I agree with them or not, they're all against war, and they all think that this war should not happen. So I don't blame the Russian people for what's going on. I think that's extremely unfair, and I think it's unfair to blame some athletes as well. Now, Ovechkin has promoted Putin in the past, which is extremely unfortunate, and he continues to not necessarily promote him directly, but I think if you go to his Instagram, there's still a picture of him and Putin as his profile picture. But you have to think as well, all his family lives in Russia, and if he disagrees, like stuff could happen to his family. So he's in a really, really difficult position. So I just want to leave athletes out of this. But I don't blame the Russian people. I think they're in a position where they can't really do anything. There's lots of protests and stuff, which is great to see out of the country. A lot of really, really brave people. But I think ultimately they can't do anything. And that's because of the dictatorship of Putin. This is Putin's war. This isn't necessarily Russia's war. So I feel terrible for the general Russian person. I feel bad for my friends over there and their families. They are going to suffer regardless of their opinion on the war, whether they want it or whether they don't. They're going to suffer. Their economy is being absolutely devastated now. Their gas prices are going to go up. Their food prices are going to go up. They won't be able to get certain things, certain products, because there's such a boycott and sanctions on the specific country. There's going to be there's starvation. There's food security issues in Russia because of this, and there's problems on our side as well. Like Russia exports, I think, like 40% of the world's wheat or something like that. So like, we're going to feel this on our end. We've already felt it on the gas side. The gas prices have soared here in the last little bit, at least in Canada, or at least in Eastern Canada where I live. So it's not good for either side, and I don't understand the war in general, because even if Putin destroys the entire country, there's still going to be people that remain in there, and they're still going to fight back, and they're still going to resist, and they're never going to accept Russian law or Russian whatever he's trying to impose. He, as in Putin, is trying to impose on the Ukraine people and that nation. It's a losing situation, regardless if he pulls out now and if he goes on for another year, if it's 10 years, it doesn't matter. The war's already lost for Russia, okay? So I just don't understand it. And Russia's the biggest country in the world, geographically or physically, whatever. They don't need more land. They don't need more resources. They don't need more people. So I just think it's a bully mentality, but I strongly believe that NATO should not enter the Ukraine. And I think it is slightly emotionally misguided by the leaders of Ukraine to slam the West for not interfering and not bringing NATO forces into the Ukraine to help out. Because that is World War III. And with all the nukes rolling around and stuff, that's inevitable. If any NATO country helps Ukraine physically by sending troops in or attacks Russia or whatever, that's World War III. That means nukes are going to be used. That means the first country, likely, that's going to get nuked, Ukraine. It's not going to exist anymore. So asking the West or NATO to help is going to annihilate your country as basically a guarantee. And then World War III progresses, and the United States gets nuked, and Russia gets nuked, and Canada gets nuked, and that's just not, that's not the way that can't happen. And the United States knows this, and NATO knows this. That's why they're not sending people in. And Russia knows this as well. So it's a very delicate, it's a very unfortunate situation, and literally everybody loses. The United States loses, Canada loses, Europe loses, Germany loses, but they're losing a lot because of oil. The Ukraine obviously loses, and Russia is losing as well. Like, there is no winners to any of this. So what the heck is the point? That's what it really comes down to. So I'm Team Ukraine. You'll see that flag in the background of this of all future videos until the war stops, or until there's a ceasefire, an extended ceasefire at least, and allow the civilians to be released. And yeah, I just strongly disagree with the war, and it's very sad to watch the videos and stuff coming out. So I support Ukraine, and I'm going to support financially as well. So any money that this video generates on YouTube, which unfortunately isn't going to be very much, I don't make very much on YouTube at all. Any money that this generates for the rest of the month of March, I'm going to donate that money to the Canadian Red Cross, and the Canadian Red Cross actually matches each donation themselves. So we're going to do that. And also, if you buy any jerseys at Cool Hockey and use the affiliation link that's down below in the description, I know a lot of you guys do, and try and support the channel that way, because if you use the affiliation link, I get a little bit of a kickback. It's not very much, but it is, it's something. So any money that I get back as an affiliation kickback on any jerseys that you buy through Cool Hockey, I'm going to take that money and also donate it to the Canadian Red Cross by the end of March. So for the rest of the month, we'll throw a little bit of money at Canadian Red Cross. Unfortunately, I can't really support any more than that. And any money that I do contribute to the Canadian Red Cross that we've made through YouTube or through the affiliation link, I'm going to match with my personal money as well. So again, 0.000000001% of any money that they get is going to come from Post to Post or myself or whatever. But at least it's something, I guess, and it's the most that I can support at this time. So that's what's going to happen. So I appreciate all the support, whether you watch this video and you've generated some income for the channel, or if you've purchased a jersey through Cool Hockey using the affiliation link down below. I appreciate that support, and that's not a Cool Hockey decision. That's a me decision. So any affiliation money that I get back going straight to the Red Cross. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you are staying current with the war. I don't think it's something that you should ignore. I think it's something that you should pay attention to, because it's really important regardless of what country you live in. You will be affected by this war. So it's good to stay current. It's good to stay informed. And it's good to not forget about what's going on over there, because the moment that we forget, the moment it becomes okay from a Russian perspective, and it should stop immediately. It should never be okay. And that's how I feel about that. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you in a future video. Adios.